uh, with your Southern Illinois miners, and it's an opportunity now for us to talk with one of our partners. And joining us via Zoom this evening is Jill Gobert at SIH. How are you, Jill?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. How are you guys doing?
It's great to be able to spend some time with you. We're doing great, spending some time here at Rent One Park, and the miners have teamed up with SIH and the SIH Foundation because, you know, with everything that's going on with the COVID-19, there's a lot of need in various parts of our communities. And SIH and the SIH Foundation are doing something to kind of help address this situation.
Yes, we are. We have established the SIH COVID-19 Relief Fund. And through this fund, we are trying to help impact those in the greatest need in our communities. We are uniquely situated, I believe, to do this because we have a wonderful community benefits department that has long-standing relationships with various social service agencies. So we have the infrastructure to move very quickly. We work very closely with agencies that deal with social determinants of health. So a lot of that comes into, you know, poverty and lack of resources. So we are already very well entrenched in helping these agencies. So if people don't really know, they want to help and they don't really know, like, you know, who do I give to, how do I give, we are setting up a application process, and it will be open to the lower 16 counties that we serve, and it will be a very fair and transparent process where we will really look at the biggest impact and how we can get the funds out to those who need it most. Food banks, homeless shelters, things like that that are really hurting right now.
So Jill, I guess I want to ask, have you do cover such a big area, 16 counties is a lot. Have you heard from community members that are needing help, and that what kind of brought this group together and the SIH COVID-19 Response Fund?
We've heard from day one that people are, especially nonprofit agencies, you know, they are getting funding from state and federal agencies, but as we all know, that takes a little bit of time. And so there are immediate needs. People need to stay in business while they're waiting for some of this relief fund. But we have heard that there are many needs. The community, they are hurting, and they're looking for ways that they can get relief. And like I said, we have some natural partnerships. We're also, you know, looking at helping, you know, our frontline our frontline healthcare workers through our fundraising efforts, and making sure, we want to make sure the people that help the community are helped. And sometimes those people are in the greatest need during this kind of crisis.
So this is going to benefit a lot of different people. How can I help? What can I do? How do I find more information?
We have several ways you can give. If you just go on to SIH.net, there are various links to our COVID response. Some of it is what we call, you know, PPE, which is personal protective equipment. We've had a lot of people in the community who have stepped up and have made masks. They have made face shields and such. And then we also have a fund for direct monetary support. Those funds can be given online, and they can also be mailed in to the SIH Foundation. And hopefully after this, we'll have, you'll be able to provide some links for that.
Google. So is there a phone number people could call for more information if they would like?
Definitely. I think I'm the best person to call. My direct number is 457-5200, extension 67843.
Excellent. So want people to go to the website, SIH.net. You'll find several different links there, or you could give Jill a call again at 618-457-5200, and her extension is 67843. One final parting word from you, talking to the people about the COVID Relief Response Fund.
I just want to thank the community. The response has been wonderful. Everybody has really stepped up. Sometimes it's the people that have the least resources, give the most. And it's just, thank you to everybody. This is a very trying time on our communities and our families. And I'm just proud to live in a region where people are really coming together to take care of the people on the front lines that are doing everything they can. It's not just us, it's the firefighters, first responders, it's the people making sure, there's food on the table. So I'm just really proud of Southern Illinois and what they're doing to help each other.
Well, Jill, appreciate you joining us again. Jill Gobert from SIH, and this is the SIH COVID-19 Response Fund. And you can go online to SIH.net and look for more information. And we just ask that if you can help, that you please do so. Thank you so much, Jill. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
He'd come in, we won 14, which I thought was ridiculous.
We broke the record for wins at that point. Yeah.
And we all stand up, and we're about to leave, and Mike goes, 15 tomorrow. We're like, what? 15, let's go. And you'd walk out, you laugh. Next you know, when it got to 19, I was like, do you know how ridiculous this sounds, Mike? You're saying win number 19 in a row.
I'd say, we'd head out to the field, and I'd say, might as well make it 20. Might as well. Yeah. But now the funny story that comes with that, and Brendan Occasion may have talked about this in his interview, was
yeah, that was great.
There was a place in town, Pinch, that's no longer here, and Pinch, there had been some activities that did not meet the standards I was hoping for. So Pinch was off limits. If you went to Pinch, it was a $200 fine. And as Ralph knows, there were times he and I would get in the car and drive over just to be sure nobody was there.
Oh, yeah, that was
And we'd both do the rounds, walk the place, all right, we're good tonight. Yeah, because I'd say, I get a feeling they're going out tonight. And so I said, I'll tell you what, I think maybe when we got to 5, I said, you guys win 10 straight, you get one night at Pinch. So sure enough, we won our 10th game, we're at home. And Brendan Occasion comes in my office, he said, how about if we win 20, we all go to Pinch and you pay the bill? Sure. Nobody's won 20 games. Sure. And all of a sudden, the term clinch for Pinch was on hats, written on lineup cards, and we ended up winning 20 games.
Funny was 15-2, Brendan Occasion. Oh, 15, halfway to Pinch. We're just sitting there, we're like, oh, they're believing. I was like, you're in trouble. I was like.
So that was a big bill. That was a big bill, but we had a great time, and our host families were wonderful, and we had fans that kind of served as the getting everybody home, the designated drivers, so everybody was safe, and but it was a fun night.
Yeah.
Let's go to spring training 2012. What are your thoughts coming into that season?
They're always the same, that we've put a lot of work in to build this team, and this should be a really, really good team. Here's what we don't ever know. I don't know what happened during the off season. I don't know, did you really work as hard as you said you did? Do you come in shape? Do you still have the heart and desire that when you left? I don't know that. Did you get a new girlfriend? Did you have an off-season job? You get pressure from mom and dad? I don't know about any of that. But I always go in saying we did the work. I always know the process was done to bring the right guys in. And yet still, in 12, there were times when we weren't playing well. No. And, there were times, Ralph knows, there's been times I've brought guys out here it's happened almost every year.
Yeah.
On a Monday off day, 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to go through spring training all over again.
Oh.
And I remember at one point in 2007, we were playing really bad towards the end of the season. Really weren't playing well. And I got all the guys down, got them in all in the dugout, and on an off day, and I said, I want to apologize, everybody. The way we've been playing is entirely my fault. I take responsibility, because I realized something. I must have given you all the contracts and said we're only playing 80 games instead of 96. If you think I'm going to watch this level of play and you call in the last 15 days of the season, you are out of your minds. We are going to practice here every morning at 8 o'clock until you win 3 in a row. And we ended up winning 10 in a row and put ourselves back in the playoffs race and did not get eliminated. We won a Friday night game here the last weekend of the season in extra innings. It was phenomenal. Place was electric. Unfortunately, Rockford won that night as well, and it ended up knocking us out. But yeah, there were times, and we got to kick it up a notch. But and that happened in 12. But 12 we made some deals along the way that turned 12 around, and we traded an all-star in Darian Sanford to get 2 relievers, and Nick CCO and Stephen Greif. Yeah. They proceeded to have an 0.7 and an 0.8 ERA the rest of the year. We traded Albert Ayala and a player to be named later to get Brandon Kniff. There's your closer. That took care of the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Yeah. That changed right away.
Chad too, didn't we?
What's that?
Chad Maddox, Herrera.
Well, we got Chad right before the start of the season. That was like an April thing. We got him.
Herrera was
and then
end of the year.
Herrera was the big one.
Yep.
Herrera was the dude that season in the league, and was with Rockford. And he wasn't gonna. He was aging out at the end of the year. He was friends with his manager Richie Austin, who was friends with Ralph, and we just threw it out. Yep. Is there any chance you'd be willing to trade Javi? And I got to tell you, it was a big moment for us because I ended up trading 5 players for Javier Herrera, all after the season. But right now, I was willing to trade anything in order to win right now. And Rockford was here playing. We did the deal on a Thursday morning, finalized it. Javi, Ralph went over in the other clubhouse, got Javi, packed up all of his stuff, and he walked into our clubhouse with all of his bags, and the clubhouse just went, "You've got to be kidding."
Yeah.
And Carlos Mendez said, "Poppy ain't playing around now." and that night, in his first at bat, Javi hit one in the water. And
well, tell him the story before that. You asked him if he was nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't nervous.
Is he nervous? Hits one, comes back.
Hits the ball in the water.
Good
and it just kind of set the tone for the whole. We knew then we could do this. And we were playing Traverse in the playoffs, first round, and they are the best team in the league. I mean, they're blowing everybody up. And we went up and we sweep them up there, including a big home run by Kenny Gregory, and Javi had a big home run up there, and we got great pitching, and swept them, came back here and won the 1 game, and went off to Florence. And it was those, I say I don't remember games, those games I remember an awful lot from. Yeah. They were big moments.
Final game of the championship series. 2 outs. It's like right there. What are you thinking?
Well, a lot of things had happened. We had a unfortunate thing of a single up the middle, and Alvaro Ramirez came in and wanted to make a play and rushed. Ball went under his glove, went all the way to the fence. They ended up tying the ball game, and now we go into extra innings. And Darren Tu, who was like our 12th guy on our pitching staff, who had not pitched in 21 days. That's how every game was so on the line, and Darren just hadn't gotten a chance to pitch. And all of a sudden he's in the ball game, and he's dealing. and we get to the bottom of the 13th, and we get a guy on, and we bunt a runner over, and it became a cat and mouse game between me and Fran, and he goes to get a lefty to face Alvaro. I put in Will Block. Now he's going to intentionally walk block. He doesn't want to face him. And Kazi comes up and unbelievable at bat and walks, and it's all over. And we finally won.
Yeah.
You get to hoist the trophy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, what a moment. Yeah, for our organization, for our fans. It wasn't just a moment for us. It was really a moment for all the guys that have ever worn this uniform. And it kind of helped. It's the one thing that can't ever take away.
Yeah.
You can't take away a championship. And we earned every bit of it. The guys, wonderful group of guys. And not that we haven't in other years as well, but we were finally able to finish it.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. It was finally a close to the success that we've had without capturing the prize. You know, we've done everything we could up to that point. You know, winning seasons, players getting back into the show, greatest park, greatest organization. The only thing we were missing was that title, was that championship, and that closed everything out for us. Winning the championship, you know, getting to that next level where we wanted to get, and it was the first one. It was just historical for us. It was a relief off our shoulders because we worked so hard, and it was like, man, what does it take, you know? And we know we put more hours than anybody else. We know that. It's not even close. The effort we put in, the standard Mike wants you to be at, it's higher. It just is. It is. And that was great. That was a sign of relief, joy. I mean, man, I was just happy.
Ralph literally picked me up and carried me around the area in
the
front of our
stage.
dugout.
Yeah. It was a great one of the moments you don't forget. You just finally, you know.
It was a long celebration that night. An awful lot of champagne.
And he called it the year
beer.
before. Man, remind you, when we lost in the playoffs, we set out. Every year we just sit out in the picnic area right here, and he goes,
All night.
Yeah.
We would, and he goes, I'm a man on a mission next year, Ralphie. I got this. I was like, hey, I'm gonna do what you tell me to do, man. You bring it, we'll train it. Let's go back to war like we always do. And
that's a nice segue. Let's flash forward to, because we can sit and talk like this all day.
Oh,
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
awesome. But
Yeah, but John doesn't have that much space on his camera.
But let's talk about this season. I love this lineup that of what I knew about
Yeah.
coming into this season, because it to me it looked like it was the making of that lineup.
Well, in that sense, one of the frustrations of what we're all dealing with, and not to at all diminish the seriousness of the issue that we're all facing. I'm missing my guys, and I'm missing the opportunity that I thought that we had, that worked really hard for. I mean, we had a lineup that was just really off the charts.
yeah, and they were minors.
Yeah.
They were past and present. It had a feel of the 10 era days, the 11 era days. Well, you know what? You don't know when you're going to lose with that lineup. That's a great feeling. That lineup was going to be tough, in and out. Pitching was going to be great. Like, it just reminded me. I was like, man, you're building something here that has a chance. This year was a year. It was a year. I mean, if not one of the best lineups he's put together, the best. If you look at the numbers and the guys, he's brung back. I mean, Flate, nobody's hit 400 like that. I mean, you know, come on, that guy was on fire. And then you bringing back Massey, you bringing back Early, like you're bringing back guys that not only played and had success here, but were guys. And now with everything coming back, they were allowed to come back, and you're molding what you always dreamed that you could do of 1 year. Man, if I could mold him with them, we talked about that all the time, it would be great. And this was a year where he could mold both, and he did. And I was excited. I was.
Yeah, I mean, we had an unbelievably strong core of returning players on this roster, with guys that we like. We like the guys. We like the people. They're great character guys, and great players. That's usually a formula for a celebration at the end of the year.
And here we said, we're going to have a virtual opening day coming up Friday night. Talk about the inspiration. I love the idea of this. At least we're getting to do something.
Yeah.
You know? And I think people are going to appreciate that.
Well, a number of teams have done versions of this. We kind of looked at the Frisco Rough Riders down in Texas that we're doing in the Rangers organization. We saw what the Kentucky Derby did with their virtual day, and we said, you know what, maybe there's some things we can do. And to credit our staff, who are what else thinkers, they just keep finding new ways to, how can we do it better? How can we do it better? And I'll say it on camera, the work you two guys, John and Jake, have done on this, I can't possibly thank you enough. I love not only the ideas you've come up with, but the passion and care you put in. And so that all goes to John Weaver and Jake Van Way, they've just done a phenomenal job. It's so good.
There's actually going to be a video. MLB The Show, I think, is the platform.
Yeah.
Minors that they developed, actual players that are playing the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is awesome.
Did you ever think?
No,
see yourself in a video
no,
game?
I don't. I've never. No, you don't dream of things. It's so awesome. I mean, I just hope I swing at the first pitch.
You will.
You
I'm
know?
sure. I guarantee you that is.
And you know what though, D-Mac? But see, they didn't just leave it as MLB The Game and building their profiles. They went back and found video footage of our guys really doing it. So if you see a guy get a base hit, you may see next the replay of him having really done it. And so that just adds,
That's pretty cool.
over and above. It's not just MLB The Show, it's MLB The Show with profiles of our guys, the dream team that worn our uniform. But on top of it, to see instant replays and highlights of them actually having done it, it's incredible.
And you're going to have play-by-play with Jason throughout the game. It's going to be so much fun to watch, but it's a full day of activities. And I've been lucky enough to talk with a lot of past players, and it's going to start at noon and it's going to go all day.
It's going to be all day fun. Yep.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
We have to do it virtually. Place is empty otherwise. So I'm excited about this opportunity, and like I said, very thankful to our staff for what they've done with this.
We want to get more into our Ralph versus the truth.
No, I think
Okay.
we've covered it. Yeah.
I guess the way we'll wrap this up, and the best way to do this, it's for the fans. Everything is for the fans of Southern Illinois Miners baseball, and I guess Ralph will ask you if you could have something to say to Miners fans. What would it be as we sit here right now?
I don't know. Thanks for the ride. Thanks for keeping going. I mean, thanks for just the support they've given us for 13 years. It's by far the best, bar none anywhere else. I think just like, great players and great teams that we've put together, we got the greatest fans as well. Year in and year out, things haven't changed. The same people still bring us candy. The same people still send emails. They're still sending us pictures from the past. They're showing up on Facebook saying, hey, look, this is you 10 years ago, So we have great fans, and all I can say is thank you. I love them to death. That's why I stayed here. That's why I continue to do what I do here. I know Mike goes beyond, what we need to do with fans, and I just love them to death, and nothing but thanks. And keep coming out. We'll keep putting on a great show out here, and they'll keep supporting us.
I'm going to take it two ways. One, as a manager, I would thank the fans for embracing me. I'm a Chicago guy. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, which is not always really popular down here. But for embracing me as a manager here and the love that I've gotten over all these years. The business Mike, the COO Mike, is saying we need them back. And when we are able to open this ballpark again and get our fans back in here, we need them to come back. And not only enjoy Miners baseball, enjoy this masterpiece of a ballpark that we have, and enjoy community and being part of community. And let's be part of, we want our stadium to be part of bringing people back again. And so we want you back.
And I think I would echo that. You know, it's one thing to have a beautiful facility, but there's a lot of seats there that we need the fans to come to. And I think hopefully coming out of this pandemic that we have and being cooped up, I hope people have a greater
Norm, just come back to the park.
Yeah, just come back and a greater appreciation for the opportunities we have to get to watch professional baseball here at Rent One Park, and we're lucky to do so because look, if you pay any attention to the news lately, you've got Major League Baseball. They've reduced 40 minor league teams.
Right.
They're dropping the number of parks that are going to have ballpark that have baseball, and we're fortunate enough that we've still got ours.
And it's a magnificent place at that.
Absolutely.
And so, and by the way, and for the fans that have stayed and watched this whole thing with us, thanks for hanging in there with us.
Yeah,
And here's
it's
some
been
of the
a-
old
it's been a long
stories.
ride.
Like I said, we could do this all day.
Yeah.
There's just so
Absolutely.
much we could do,
Yeah.
but we appreciate you tuning in and spending your time with us. Hopefully, here in a little while, you're going to have the family around and get to watch a great baseball game online. Who knows? Will Ralph get a hit?
If I'm
We don't
telling
know.
you what,
He's going to be swinging. We do know that. But we hope that you tune in and join us and as well, and just know that you know, on behalf of Mike and Kathy Perry and John and Jake and the entire staff, the players, the coaches, we miss you, and we want to see you back here at Rent One Park whenever we can get this season fired up again. And Ralph, appreciate your time.
thank you.
And manager.
Thanks.
COO.
We miss you guys. Hope
Yeah,
to see you soon.
absolutely.
Once again, Miners fans, welcome back to Virtual Opening Day here on Facebook Live. Jason Garrett joined by another of the Miners' all-time greats, a member of the All-Decade team from 2016, an All-Star in 2008, and one of the Miners' top power hitters of all time. Tim Dorn joins us here on Virtual Opening Day. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So you come to the Miners in their inaugural season. A lot of the players that we've talked to mention the tradition and the culture that the Miners had built, but there was no tradition and no culture at the time that you joined the team in 2007. So what was the initial process that brought you to Southern Illinois?
I got a chance to play against Mike Pino and Ralph when I was playing in Pensacola, Florida for the Pensacola Pelicans in the American Association. And then in the off season, I got a phone call and asked, I got a phone call from Mike, and he asked if I wanted to come play in Southern Illinois. And he's a smooth talker, that guy. But it was an easy sell for sure. I wanted to come and try a new organization and just see how I could do somewhere else.
And you are known for two very notable Miners firsts. On opening day in 2007 at Gateway, you hit the Miners' first ever home run. And then later in that season, after you kind of tore up the entire Frontier League for about a month, you were the first Miner to ever be picked up when the St. Louis Cardinals came calling. So do you have strong memories of both the home run and the time you got picked up?
I'm the memories are starting to dwindle a little bit with everything else that's going on in life, but it was a exciting time of my life, and it was just to be able to be a part of such a nice and such a great organization, to be able to do special things for them. It's always going to be there.
Well, the home obviously both will live on in Miners lore. You're also one of only two players to be picked up twice by two different organizations. You come back for the 2008 season, and you spend the whole year with the Miners that year. A fantastic season, 299, 23 home runs, 83 runs batted in. The 83 RBIs, by the way, are still a Miners single season record. And you were part of a kind of unprecedented power show, joining you and Joey Metropolis, who both hit 20 or more home runs that year. Your BP must have been absolutely legendary that season, wasn't it?
That was a fun team. I mean, the guys, it was still looking back and seeing all the different personalities from, like Jake McMurrin and Ryan Bird pitching, the pitching staff, and how Mike was able to run their side of it. And then playing with Joey was one of the greatest times of my life. I mean, I'm a little upset I only got to play with him for one season because I didn't get to meet him in 2007. So when I found out I was playing with Joey, another local Southern California guy, we immediately clicked, and we had a good time on the field and off the field.
Did you ever have friendly competitions to see who could hit home runs farther? Because the highlights they really speak for themselves when people talk about the prodigiously deep home runs that you guys hit.
No, I don't think we had any competitions on the baseball field. For sure, we had singing competitions. That's for sure.
Singing competition. So who's the better singer between you two?
I'm not going to get into too much information, but there's really good acoustics in the Miners locker room shower.
Okay. Well, excellent. So 2008 was not only a unprecedented power year for the Miners, it was also their first ever playoff appearance. So leading the franchise to the playoffs for the first time, what was that experience like?
It was fun. It wasn't the desired outcome we wanted to finish up with, but just to be part of the Frontier League playoffs, and it's such a prestigious league. Everybody talks about the Frontier League, and I know a lot of really good players have come from the Frontier League to make it to the big leagues, but to make it to the playoffs that year was special for me.
Now, you are the tallest position player in Miners history at 6'8", and you were once a pitcher. You were not always the prodigious power hitter that Miners fans know and love. So converting from a pitcher to a hitter, what was that process like for you, and what kind of drove the change?
I think the more of a challenge was going from a hitter to a pitcher, because I've always been a hitter my entire life. And then having to go from hitting to pitching was more of a difficult change. I mean, me on the mound is an ugly thing. Ask Mike. He put me on the bump one time, and it wasn't very successful. I don't know if my pitching statistics are available to talk about, but we won't even talk about that.
They are, but we won't. So since your playing days, my understanding is you've done a couple of different things since you stopped playing professional baseball. So kind of elaborate on that if you could.
Well, right now I'm currently working as a police officer for the city of Pomona. It's a great career. It's almost a really easy transition going from playing professional baseball to joining another team like law enforcement. It's very rewarding, and I love what I do.
That is a career path that several former Miners have actually taken. A couple actually are now police officers in California that are also on the Miners all-time team with you. It's interesting that you mentioned that it's an easy transition, because a lot of former Miners have done that same thing.
Yeah, it was just to be part of another team. The Pomona Police Department is big, but it's small. We're able to, we work together as a team on everything we do.
Well, Tim, it's great to catch up with you. It's fantastic to talk to you, and good luck tonight in the virtual opening day game. And we'll catch up with you soon down the road. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
Hello, Miners fans, and welcome back to our coverage of Miners virtual opening day here on Facebook Live. And Jason Garrett now with you, and we're joined by another special guest, an all-star right-handed pitcher from 2011 and 2012. He was the ace of the 2012 Frontier League Championship Southern Illinois Miners, and we are pleased to be joined now by David Hardin here on virtual opening day. David, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. Great background there. Nice and natureful.
I'm down here in Georgia at my parents' house with everything that's going on. A little bit easier to get out and about, move around a little bit, and so I'm lucky to have a place like this to spend some time.
Well, let's start from the very beginning with you. Speaking of your home state of Georgia, that's where you went to school at Southern Polytechnic State University, and you're a great example that talented baseball players can come from anywhere in the country, no matter what level they play at in college. So how did you get from Southern Polytechnic State to the Southern Illinois Miners in 2011?
Well, I'd thrown at Southern Poly, and towards the end of my senior year there, I'd gotten hurt, and so didn't think I was going to get drafted, but I wanted to show some scouts that I was still healthy. So I went out and played in the Jayhawk League out in Kansas, and I'd done pretty well out there. And that was right when Joe Augustine had, I think, he had appendicitis or something like that, and so they were asking if I could come, take his spot the year before. But I had just started, going back to school to finish there. And, I think they'd gotten some players from that team I was on before. I think Bart Zeller had some relationships, created out there with some of the former coaches. And, Mike gave me a call, and here we are.
And your rookie season, 2011, I don't know if any rookie pitcher has come in and did what you did in 2011 in terms of a sub-3 ERA and 120 innings pitched as a first-year professional player. How are you able to put up those numbers right away?
Well, I want guys to hit the ball. I'm not throwing as many pitches as some of these other guys, and I was lucky enough to be able to throw it a park like Rent One and have an incredible defense that we had. I'm throwing 3 or 4 pitches max per batter, right? I think I probably averaged in my time in the Frontier League maybe 4 or 5 strikeouts a game, right? But we'd have some quick games when I was playing, so that maybe helped me get a little bit deeper into the games for sure.
And statistically, you were exactly what Mike Pinto, I know, looks for in a starting pitcher, not only going deep into games, but if I had to pick anybody in minors history, any moment, world depends on somebody throwing a strike, I think I would pick you, because you walked 37 batters in 256 innings. For the minors fans that don't know the numbers, that is 1.3 walks per 9, which for a starting pitcher is just out of this world. Did you always have such great command, or how did you develop it before you got to the minors?
I'd like to think I had command from the time I started playing ball. That's something my dad always taught me, and we worked on throwing strikes. I didn't always throw the hardest, obviously. I was probably sitting right around 90 miles an hour, which isn't that hard, especially in pro baseball. But it's when you have that realization that you have to throw strikes and you have to throw it where you want to be competitive and get where you want to be in baseball, then that's something you take ownership of, and you have to do it. So there's really no alternative for me. And it probably, I gave up a lot more hits probably than I should have, and positive counts for a pitcher, because I just wasn't used to throwing the balls, out of the zone. I always wanted guys ready to hit. So
they certainly were. You certainly kept them on their toes with that command. Now let's fast forward to the 2012 season. As the story goes, Mike Pinto down the stretch of the season makes some moves, adds to the bullpen, adds to the offense. You end up making the playoffs on the last day of the season, and then go all the way through the playoffs, losing only once in postseason play. What made that team click the way they did at the right time that they did?
We did click, but with as many guys who had come back from the year before, and some of the veteran guys that we'd signed to have come in, we just had a confidence about us. That's something that I really remember. We knew we were going to win the whole time. Once we got into the playoffs, and I think we started against Traverse City, and they raked that year. But what I told everybody who asked me on our team and on the pitching staff, a lot of their numbers, they put up some big power numbers, but they were either away when they were putting up those numbers. As you know, that Traverse City, it's a graveyard, and I love throwing there. And a lot of their better games were coming against lower level teams in the league. So I couldn't have been more confident, and I know most of the guys felt that same way going into that year. We knew we were going to win.
You're right about Traverse City, and of course they're no longer in the Frontier League, but that season, a 64-win team, and the offensive juggernaut that they were, MVP as well on that team. But you end up going all the way. You end up winning 2 of those playoff games that year, so your confidence must have been at an all-time high by the time everything was said and done.
It was great. I'll never forget when we were playing in Florence, John Lakin he was helping us out at doing some advanced scouting, and it was pretty early in the game, and we are talking about Michael Rocket, who's one of their better players. I think I played against him later in the Atlantic League. But it was stay away from this guy, stay away from this guy. He's not going to beat you. And I think I had a 1-0 count. I threw him a heater away, and he hit a homer. I just looked straight into the dugout, and Mike and Justin Lord, everybody was just laughing because we had the wrong scouting report, apparently. But it ended up working out.
Certainly ended up working out. How was that celebration? How was that night for you when you clinched with the walk-off walk by Jake Kazi at home in front of all the fans that were there at Rent One Park?
It was great. You know, for anybody who hasn't won a championship, it's hard to put into words. It's a pretty long season, and for being there for 2 years and always expecting success and being successful in the regular season, but not capping it off the year before like we'd wanted it to, and just all the hard work and the amount of rookies that were on that team. We all kind of came in together. You know, Cannon Lester, Kenny Gregory. You know, Sean Harrell, he had retired earlier in that year, and now we're all just still such great friends. I talked to Sean, Jason Gannick was on that team. I talked to those guys a couple times a week still, you know, and so that's what made it even more special. Sean Coughlin, another guy, great friend, and a guy who brought a bevy of experience, you know, and he didn't get as much action that the year we won it, but he was a huge part of what we were doing.
So you get done playing with the Somerset Patriots in the Atlantic League in 2015. The all-decade team is announced the following year in 2016, and you come back to Rent One Park for the first time for that all-decade ceremony with, I believe, a couple of your former teammates that were on that all-decade team. Coming back to Rent One Park for the first time, not as a player, but kind of as an honoree. How was that experience for you 4 years ago?
Well, you know, it's always very special when the place that gave you your first professional opportunity to have been so successful, to, you know, develop those relationships we had, you know, Mike, Ralph, Chris Stone, Joe Augustine. I was at his wedding this past year, you know, and just being able to be back with those guys, Will Block, Nate Hall, it makes it even that much more special. I got Lisa Wood, my host mom. I mean, it was great to see everybody. And as you know, and everybody knows, the Miners are all about creating, you know, that fan first experience that is second to none.
Well, David, transitioning from back then in 2016 to what you're doing now, you came back to Rent One Park again in your work with Chicago State as an assistant coach. How's that been for you? And where were you when the whole thing went down this spring with the COVID-19 pandemic?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, I do all of our scheduling with Chicago State, and I always try to give some of the guys some pretty special experiences. And I'm lucky that we get to go down to Rent One. It's only a 5-hour bus ride away. And, you know, not that I care as much, but it's cool for them to see somebody that, you know, they coach with, not just when I tell stories, but they can see some of the pictures and, you know, some of the stats, things like that. It's pretty enjoyable for them. I think they think it's pretty cool. And yeah, when the whole thing hit this year, obviously college baseball season being canceled, all of college spring sports, we just played Louisville, you know, number 1 team in the country twice. And so we were flying from Louisville, Chicago to Vegas out to Honolulu for a 4-game series out there. So we land in Honolulu, get to the hotel, and about 45 minutes later, get a call from the AD saying, hey, the whole season's banged. Right. And so trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do, figure out our travel plans. And it was pretty different experience for me having to go tell, you know, 13 seniors that this is it for now. It's quite an experience, you know, and so everybody processed it, took their time, but at least for a lot of the guys, they were able to spend, you know, 2 to 3 days out in Hawaii while, you know, we could figure out how to get back.
Well, when you came back to Rent One Park and were able to like show all of the players kind of evidence of your greatness as a Miner, were they amazed? What was their reaction?
No, I mean, I'm sure most players, especially when I'm recruiting them, and you tell them some stories, things like that. They hopefully do their research or fact check you, but to see it live, I think is a different story. Where I played, and I stepped out on the mound. I did things after a couple of those games, but it was a great experience. Always is to get down there.
Well, David, congratulations once again on being on the Miners all-time team here in 2020 for virtual opening day.